So today we're going to learn how to divide polynomials, and to learn how to do that, we're going to start by going over something that you should already know how to do, which is how to divide integers. So let's say I want to do 46,587 divided by 4. So to divide this using long division, you put the 4 out here, okay? And you put the 46,587 underneath. Okay, so what's the process here? How do I start this? You see how many times 4 can go into 4, right? How many times can it go? Once. So you're going to put a 1 up here. And then you do 1 times 4, which is 4. And then you subtract. Once you subtract, you bring down the next term. And then you just repeat that process until you make it all the way to the end. So what's 6 times 4? Oh, I'm sorry. How many times does 4 go into 6? Once. So I'm going to put another 1 up here. 1 times 4 is 4. And then we subtract. So 6 minus 4 is 2. Bring down the next number, the next digit. How many times does 4 go into 25? 6 times. 6 times 4 is 24. All right, so bring down the next number, 18. How many times does it go into 18? 4. Okay. 4 times 4 is 16. Bring down the 7. So how many times does 4 go into 27? 6. So 4 times 6 is 24. That means we have a remainder, right? We've got, now in elementary school, you probably just wrote remainder 3. Okay, but we're not in elementary school anymore. Yeah, we're far removed from those days. I want you to really know what that means. We're not going to turn this into a decimal. Instead, we're going to write it like this. The solution here is 11,646 plus 3/4. This is the remainder, and here's the divisor. This is what we call the quotient over here, by the way. So that's how you divide integers. Okay, so we're going to take that process that you already know how to do and apply it to dividing polynomials. Okay, now when we're dividing polynomials, there's basically they're going to fall into one of two categories. One is going to be sort of the easy ones where you're dividing by just a monomial, a single term. And then we're also going to be dividing by polynomials. Those are going to take a little bit longer, and you're going to have to go through this long division process to do it. But if you're just dividing by, so we'll come back to that. But if you're just dividing by a monomial, then all you need to do is just divide each term by that monomial. It's going to be a lot easier to do it this way. So like, for example, if I've got 6x squared plus 12x all divided by 3x, that's going to be the same thing as if I divided each term by 3x. So like if I had 6x squared divided by 3x plus 12x divided by 3x, and then I simplify those terms individually. So 6 divided by 3 is 2, x squared over x. So once again, we're going back to our exponent rules again. When you divide powers with the same base, you subtract the exponents. So 2 minus 1 is 1. So just 2x plus 12 divided by 3 is 4. And then if this is x to the first over x to the first, it would be x to the... What's the rule for when you divide powers? Subtract. So what's 1 minus 1? 0. So x to the 0 would just be 1. So those, essentially what happens here is these cancel out. So you get 2x plus 4. So basically, you're just going to divide each term by that monomial. So this kind of division does not require long division. You still can use long division to divide these, but it's a lot easier to not. All right, so let's just do a couple more examples here. Like let's say I want to do 48x minus 16 divided by 8. So I need to divide each of those terms by 8. So this will be like 48x divided by 8 minus 16 divided by 8. So what is 48 divided by 8? 8? No, it's not 8. Yeah, 6x minus 2. Well, yeah, just wait on it. Yeah, that's good. That's good that we're starting off strong. Yeah. Number 2, same deal here. We just divide each term by what we're dividing by. 9x squared over negative 3x plus 15x over negative 3x. So what's the first term going to be? Yeah, good. Negative 3x. And what's the second term going to be? Be careful here. No x. Okay, if you just have the same number of x's on the top and the bottom, then they'll just cancel each other out because x divided by x is 1.
Then why didn't the 3x cancel then?
Well, one of the x's did cancel because we have x squared divided by x. So like 2 minus 1 would be 1, but 1 minus 1 is 0. So that's telling you like how many x's should be left over. All right, so number 3, same kind of problem here. Just a little bit more practice. We've got negative 12x squared over 6x plus 18x over 6x. You got it. That's what I'm talking about. Good. Okay, so that's how you're going to divide a polynomial by monomial. Though, like I said, like all these problems are going to be basically split up into 2 categories. These are the easier ones, right? Because you don't have to do a whole lot of work. You just divide each term, and as long as you know how to divide, you'll be okay. Okay, so when we divide polynomials that have more than one term, we have to use long division. Okay, so I want to use a couple of words that you've probably used before, but maybe not very often. Like when we're dividing, the numerator and the denominator have specific terms to describe them. Okay, like the numerator is called the dividend. You might remember these from back in the day, maybe not. Then what you're dividing by is called the divisor. Okay. Now, after you divide, basically there's 2 parts to your answer. There's the quotient, which is what you, like the whole number of times that the divisor goes into the dividend, right? Like if it's 26 divided by 5, the quotient would be 5. It goes in 5 times evenly. Okay, and then whatever's left over is called the remainder. So we're going to use that same long division to divide polynomials, but it's just going to work a little bit differently. Okay, so let's get into it. Yeah. Number 4. 8x minus 3 divided by x plus 1. Okay, so the x plus 1 is our divisor. That's going to go on the outside. And then the 8x minus 3 goes on the inside. Okay, so the steps are going to be like just slightly different, but for the most part, you're doing kind of the same thing that you did when you divided just integers using long division. So the question we need to ask ourselves when we start to divide a polynomial is, you want to look at the leading terms only. Don't worry about anything else, just the leading terms. And ask yourself, how many times does x go into 8x? Like, in other words, what do I need to multiply x by to make it equal 8x? 8. So that number, you're going to put on the top. So, yeah, 8 times x is 8x, right? So once you get that number up there, like if we go back to where we were dividing, you know, once I figured out that there's a 1 that goes up here, what did I do with that 1? Like, so like, if I'm here, so 4 goes into 4 one time. I multiplied 1 times 4 to get 4, right? Okay, so let's go back here. What is 8 times x? And what's 8 times 1? So plus 8. So what you have to do is multiply what goes up here by what's outside here. Now in the last, you know, when we were dividing just integers, what did I do next? Once I figured out what goes underneath there, subtract, right? So I'm going to subtract. So 8x minus 8x is 0, and that's kind of what I want to happen. And then negative 3 minus 8 would be negative 11. That right there is my remainder. Now, if that was a 0, then I would not have a remainder. Yes, ma'am? So it's negative 3 minus 8. Yeah, so you got to subtract each column. So negative 3 minus 8 is negative 11. Because you're subtracting that row. So you're subtracting all the terms in there. Okay, so my final answer here is going to be 8 plus negative 11 over x plus 1. And that is what this divided by that equals. All right, let's try number 5. So we're dividing 7x plus 12 divided by x minus 3. So I'm going to put x minus 3 on the outside, 7x plus 12 on the inside. So I look at the leading terms. What do I need to multiply x by to make it 7x? 7. So I'm going to put a 7 here. So 7 times x minus 3 would be 7x minus what? 21. Then I subtract. So I'm going to subtract my columns. 7x minus 7x is 0. That's what I want to happen. And then I have 12 minus negative 21. Don't be afraid to use a calculator here. 12 minus negative 21. 33. Okay, so that's my remainder. So my answer here is going to be 7 plus 33 over 7x. Oh, nope, over x minus 3, not 7x. Any questions about that one so far? All right, now I'm going to have y'all talk me through number 6. What's going to go on the outside of this long division? Good. And then on the inside? Okay. What do I do first? Right. So what do I need to multiply negative 2x by to make it equal 4x? Negative 2. So negative 2 times negative 2x minus 3 is 4x plus 6. So when I subtract that, what do I get as my remainder? Nothing, right? It's just 0, 0. So that means there's no remainder here. Our solution is just -2. All right, what that means, if you're thinking about like, okay, well, what does this matter? Like, what that means is like, if you get no remainder, then these two are factors of the dividend. In other words, if I want to factor the dividend and into its prime factors, these are what they're going to be. We'll get into that a little bit more later. I don't want to confuse you too much. All right, well, let's keep going. Okay, now we're starting to move into the trinomial territory. Okay, which is going to be very similar. It's just going to have an extra step. Just like if you're dividing like a much bigger number, you had, like we saw the very initial problem we did, we had like to do a bunch of steps, right? Where we subtract and then bring down the next term, subtract, bring down the next term. That's what we're going to have to do here. So we're going to put x minus 2 on the outside and 11x squared plus 5x minus 10 on the inside. Now you have to be a little bit more careful about this. What do I need to multiply x by to make it 11x squared?
11x.
Yeah, 11x. 11x, so I'm going to put that up here because that's a linear term. So I'm going to put it above the linear term. 11x times x minus 2 is 11x squared minus 22x. Then I subtract. Okay, so 11x squared minus 11x squared is 0. That's what I want to happen. Then I have 5x minus negative 22x. Yeah, good. 27x. Now, think about what we did on just the regular old long division. Right? We brought down the next digit to be able to move forward. And that's what we need to do here also, is we're going to bring down the next term, minus 10, and then kind of go through the process one more time. So what do I need to multiply x by to make it 27x? 27, right? Yeah, so plus 27. 27 times x minus 2 would be 27x minus 54. Then we subtract. So what's negative 10 minus negative 54? It's not negative 64. Use a calculator, y'all. Come on. Negative 10 minus negative 54. It's going to be what? 40, positive 44. Use a calculator if you're not getting that right. And just type it in. Negative 10 minus negative 54. All right, so once we get down to that last digit, we're done. We just need to write our answer here. So my final answer is going to be 11x plus 27 plus 44 over what? Good. All right, so let's do number 8. So for number 8, we've got x plus 4 on the outside. That's our divisor. Our dividend is negative 2x squared minus 7x plus 12. What do I need to multiply x by to make it negative 2x squared? Negative 2x. So negative 2x times x plus 4 is negative 2x squared. Then negative 2x times 4 is what? Minus 8x. So then I go to subtract. All right, what's so negative 2x squared minus negative 2x squared is 0. That's what we want to happen. Negative 7x minus negative 8x is positive 1x. Good. Bring down the next term would be 12. So what do I need to multiply x by to make it x? Just 1, right? So plus 1. 1 times x plus 4 is x plus 4. And I subtract. So what's my remainder? 8. Yeah. All right, so my final answer here, negative 2x plus 1 plus 8 over x plus 4. So our divisor here is 7x minus 1. And my dividend is 14x squared minus 23x plus 6. All right, so what's going to be the first number I write on top? I'm going to not even sort of lead you with the question here. 2x. Good. Because you want it to be x squared. So if I multiply by 2x, I get 14x squared minus 2x. Then I subtract. So I've got, this is just going to be 0. That's going to happen every time, you know, as long as you're doing it right. Like, that's kind of the whole point, is you want to get rid of those terms. So negative 23x minus negative 2x. Negative 21x. So you're going to see that minus a negative a lot. So just get used to that, and don't be afraid to put it in the calculator. Let me bring down the 6. So plus 6. All right. What am I going to write next on top? Oh, not 3, but no, you're close to negative 3. Yeah, so minus 3. So negative 3 times 7x minus 1 is negative 21x plus 3. Then we subtract, and what's my remainder going to be? Use a calculator. Or this one, you really shouldn't even need a calculator. It's just 6 minus 3. 3. All right, so that's my remainder. I'm ready to write my answer. 7x, oh, nope, that's not it. (2x minus 3) plus my remainder, which is 3 over 7x minus 1. All right, number 10, multiplying a trinomial by trinomial. So not much is different. All that means is that your quotient's going to just be smaller. Like, we're only going to basically have one step instead of 2 steps. So I'm going to put my divisor on the outside, my dividend on the inside. All right, now there's only one thing that's going to go up here, because these 2 degrees are the same, right? Like, I'm not going to be able to multiply anything else. So what do I write on the top? What's my quotient? And let me rephrase the question. What do I need to multiply x squared by to make it 3x squared? Just 3. If I multiply by 3x, it would become 3x cubed. So I just want to multiply by a 3. So I have 3x squared minus 24x plus 36. Then I subtract. What's 2 minus negative 24? Yeah, 26x. And then negative 20 minus 36? Minus 56. Now, x squared, that is a bigger degree than 26x. So there's not going to be anything that I'm going to be able to multiply x squared to be able to get that. So that's where I know, okay, I'm done. My remainder is actually this binomial. Okay, so my result here, zoom out, will be 3 plus 26x minus 56 over x squared minus 8x plus 12. Now, you can use this division to work out problems like number 11. It says the area of a rectangle is represented by the expression given. The length of the rectangle is 6x minus 3. Write an expression that represents the width. Okay, well, first of all, what's the formula for area of a rectangle? You know, if I've got a rectangle, yeah, length times width, right? So if we know that the length is 6x minus 3, we're trying to find the width. We know the area is 12x squared plus 18x minus 12. I'll just make this a little bigger. So if I know that the area is the length times the width, how do I find the width? If I know the area and the length. Yeah, what am I going to divide? By the length, right. So the width is the area divided by the length, which in this case would be 12x squared plus 18x minus 12 divided by the length, which is 6x minus 3. So whatever I get after I divide that is going to be my width. And so this is where, okay, now we can actually do the division. So, move this up a little bit. So 6x minus 3 is my divisor. My dividend is 12x squared plus 18x minus 12. All right, so what do I need to multiply 6x by to make it equal 12x squared? Yeah, 2x. So 2x times this is 12x squared minus 6x. Zoom in on this. All right, so yes, ma'am.
Why on this problem do we get why do we get it as 2x, and on the last problem we got it as just 3 without the x?
Oh, okay, yeah. So so when I subtract, this becomes 0. What's 18x minus negative 6x? 24x. Okay, good. So 24x minus 12. All right, so what do I need to multiply 6x by to make it equal 24x? 4. So plus 4 goes at the top. 4 times 6x minus 3 is going to be 24x. Oh, minus 12. Look at that. So what's my remainder? 0. So this is my answer right there. There's no remainder there. So that's the length. I'm sorry, that's the width.